whether you're about to be stressed and you can catch it, which is hard to do. So generally it's after you've been stressed, you're feeling all those signs of stress from just like the hunched shoulders to the shortness of breath to, the mind feeling like this. Just a few deep breaths can help to settle everything down so you have access to yourself again.
And I think the other benefit of the breath is it's always there.
It's always yes, thank you for saying that, because
you don't need the app, you don't need service for it, you don't need to pay for it.
Yes, you're totally right.
Let's talk Tales.
Today's Tales with Taylor guest is a mindfulness teacher, keynote speaker, and a corporate wellness educator. She holds a 500-hour Yoga Alliance teaching certificate, is a continuing education provider for Yoga Alliance, and has 200 formal hours of meditation training. She also holds a master's in science and health promotion with an emphasis in workplace wellness. She loves to inspire her clients and students to weave wellness tools into their day to manage their stress and feel their best. It's Miss Shawn Bradford of Breathwork. How are you doing today?
Oh my gosh, I'm good. You're amazing. Thank you for all of this. Thank you for that beautiful introduction. You are the best.
Well, thank you for what you're doing. I find it fascinating that the title of your organization and business is Breathe and Work, not necessarily work that breathe. So tell me the tale that brought you to titling your organization this.
That is a really good story, actually. I started off as doing Bradford Transformational coaching and yoga. And as you can see, that doesn't really roll off the tongue very well. And one of my first clients, Avenue 25, they really helped me out so much. I was doing wellness workshops for them, and they were helping me a little bit with my website. And I don't remember if I asked them or they told me, but somehow the subject came up of, you need a name change. Like, this name's not really rolling off the tongue. It's also not really showcasing what you're doing here. You are helping us breathe better, breathe deeper, feel better with the breath. Every time you come and give us a workshop, there's always breath included. And they came up with the name for me, Breathe and Work. And it was born from them. I can't take credit. And as soon as they said it, I was like, that is it. Like, that is it. And that's how the name of my company was born, and I switched it on over.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
So why do you feel it's so important for, especially people in a corporate position, to learn this breath work and learn different techniques?
That's a good question, Taylor. I think it's important for everyone, but I like getting people at their office because they spend so much time there. And the office can be a source of great stress, but it can also be the source of learning and creativity and joy. And we're going to have stress everywhere. It's just a part of life, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. But if we can learn how to take some deeper breaths when we are stressed out, so to speak, we can more clearly manage that stress, work our way through the challenge, get back in our clear-minded self. And it does start with just taking a deeper breath, whether you're about to be stressed and you can catch it, which is hard to do. So generally it's after you've been stressed, you're feeling all those signs of stress from just like the hunched shoulders to the shortness of breath to, the mind feeling like this. Just a few deep breaths can help to settle everything down so you have access to yourself again.
And I think the other benefit of the breath is it's always there.
It's always yes. Thank you for saying that, because
you don't need the app, you don't need service for it, you don't need to pay for it.
Yes, you're totally right. That is like the best way to put it. You don't need to do anything other than do something you're already doing. Just notice you're doing it and change it up a little bit. Such a good point.
But it's interesting because we breathe so involuntarily, but you're saying we need to actually be mindful of this involuntary, amazing response that our body does just naturally. And so if someone was new to this, okay, I breathe. Yes, I'm already breathing. What more are you expecting me to do? If someone's very new in this journey, what's something basic that you would recommend to them?
I think the first thing, really stemming off from what you said, is just noticing that you're breathing. So simply, I love self-talk. I love changing the dialogue in my head because often if I'm stressed out and I'm short of breath, meaning I'm just breathing from the chest, and my mind's probably looping in some sort of stress loop, just simply noticing the breath and changing the self-talk to I'm breathing in, I'm breathing out. So that's what I would suggest. Notice that you're breathing by saying, I'm breathing in, I'm breathing out. And from that little thing, all sorts of things are going to happen. Your breath, because you're now paying attention to it, is automatically going to start to slow down. You'll take bigger inhales. You'll take more relaxing exhales. And then because you're giving your mind a job to do, I'm breathing in, I'm breathing out, you can start to pull it away from the control of the stress and give it just a job in this moment. I'm breathing in, I'm breathing out. So that's a good place to start.
Okay. That's as simple as that. It, like literally anyone can do that.
Anyone at any time can do that.
Excellent. So were you always on your own, or did you have your own corporate journey at one point?
Yeah. So my journey with my own business started in about 2016. I had done other things before. Real estate is my own business, but mostly I had worked in corporate sales. And, I loved it while I loved it. Like, it was a great job. I loved interacting with so many different people. And it's my uncle's business, and he's like the best sales teacher in the world. So it was this wonderful experience. But when it was time to leave, it was time to leave. But it was really scary because I was comfortable. Like, I was really, really comfortable. But I was starting to get very frustrated. I think that's how we know we need to make a change. Like, for me, it was that constant feeling of frustration. And, at the time when I made a change, I was raising 3 kids on my own. And so it's like, that's a really scary time to make a change. But I did a little bit. I made small changes, and how it happened, I clearly remember it. I was in a yoga class, and right before this ending rest where you lay down, it's called Shavasana, I just said, like, I need a change. I need a change. And it's funny when you get what you ask for, but you're still so hesitant and resistant. So the moment I get out of Shavasana, the teacher leading the class said, Shawn, it just popped in my mind, you should take the yoga training that they're offering at the studio. And I was like, whatever, you probably just want my money. Even though they never brought this up to me before.
Oh, yeah.
Then I'm leaving, and the teacher walking in, who was one of the lead teachers for the teacher training, says, you should really take the teacher training. And I was like, okay. Then I get home, and I don't remember which one, but one of those 2 teachers called me, I don't know, later that afternoon and said, it won't leave my mind. I really think you should take the training. And here's the interesting thing. It was starting in about a week. And I thought, how on earth am I going to take this? This is in the evenings. I've got kiddos.
Yeah.
It's on the weekends. I have kiddos. It's starting in a week. One, the studio, because it was so last minute, gave me like a work trade discount. And then the second thing was, when I looked at the schedule, and I really like this story. When I looked at the schedule, I was like, so I was sharing at the time. My kid's dad did have them a few days a week, which was very, very helpful. However, he did not have them any weekends when the teacher training was going on. And the teaching training, I think, was Tuesday and Thursday, and he had them Wednesdays. So he never had them, and he wasn't able to switch. He never, ever had them when the training was going on. So I'm like, this isn't going to work.
Yeah.
Well, then I'm picking my kids up from, it was called MAC, aftercare, childcare, whatever, at their school. And somehow I mentioned that I was maybe going to need a sitter for about maybe 12 weeks. I don't remember how long the training was. And one of the after school care providers said, oh, we're not really supposed to say this, but some of us here babysit, we could help you out. And anyways, I decided to take the plunge. Once they said that, I signed up for the training because I thought, okay, these young adults can babysit. And here's what they did. They formed kind of like nobody ever talked about it. They formed for me this little babysitter club where there's maybe 3 or 4 of them. And I would call one of them to see like, can you do this Tuesday and Thursday? And they'd be like, I can do Tuesday. I couldn't do Thursday. So I checked with so-and-so and they can do Thursday.
That's
so it's
so
like,
awesome.
yeah, they work together.
Where was this babysitters club when my kids were younger?
To like figure it out. So the
Yeah.
entire training I know I'm going on and on, but
No,
it was
you're
so
great.
cool. Like I had this huge support of this babysitters club to get through the training. And I had this boyfriend at the time who was like really supportive as well and just kept encouraging me and leaving me sweet notes. And I felt like there was so much support that came together to get me through this training because it was a huge dedication of time. You go deep within to see like who you are, which I'd never done that too much before. And that really started me off then on my journey of creating my own business, which I didn't do right away. I slowly started to build it. So long story to your question.
Yeah, you spoke to the universe, and then the universe was like, okay, instantly. It sounds like with those teachers, that's amazing that you just gotta really just, you do have to ask and then just look around to receive, and answers and solutions will get found. That's so true. That's amazing. And another thing I really found amazing about your bio is the science part, because I feel like when you first think of yoga, meditation, breathing, a lot of people might think, oh, woo woo, but there's actually science behind it. There's actually a lot of data behind it. So, how do you feel that, those two marry together?
I love the science. So when I was getting my master's program, it was all about the science. And I love yoga and meditation so much that I want everybody to try it. And I realize a lot of the time the doorway into getting people to try it is to give them all the research, all the science behind why breathwork works, why mindful movement works. And that really is a door in. And, some of the best feedback I get, I was doing a corporate presentation the other day, really basic, but really effective, called 5 stretches to manage daily stress and tension. Super basic, right? And somebody put in the chat, I love all the facts that you're giving. This is one of my favorite things I've ever done. Another place where I do weekly classes, the woman said to me, I've never tried yoga before. We do chair yoga. And she goes, I never thought I'd be somebody that would do yoga. I never wanted to try it, but since it's available here at work, I'm doing it. And I'm somebody that does yoga now, and it's really helping me just feel better.
Yeah.
So I love, like it's my favorite thing to do is bring the science in so that people are willing to try it. Because if they just try it, like doing some shoulder rolls, right? Combining it with just like, doesn't that feel good?
It does feel so good.
It's just like all we're doing is shoulder rolls, and then we might breathe with it, inhaling up, exhaling down. And then once I can get somebody to try it, they're like, oh, I'm doing yoga, or we can call it mindful movement. This feels really good. And my shoulders actually feel better. And now I'm going to work with shoulders that feel better versus working through these tense shoulders. Like we have to take these breaks throughout the day. And taking little yoga breaks or little meditation breaks is such a nourishing thing to do for ourselves.
Is there a suggestion of like how often, because isn't it, how often should you look away from a screen, or how often do you think someone should get up from their desk and move? What would be that norm for someone that does work an 8-hour desk job?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I'm just going to quote some science on that.
Love it. That's what I was hoping.
So like American Heart Foundation does say for every hour that you are seated, you should be doing something for at least 1 minute, up to 5 minutes, to get your body out of the same position. So that could literally be getting yourself in a good posture, right? Because when we're sitting like this, we're crunching our low back.
Especially as we work, it's like it gets more goblin-like.
Yes, we've got tech neck. So now this is like so heavy to hold our neck like this. So literally if I could just, and I do this in a lot of my corporate workshops, I just correct people's posture. So the head is over the neck, which is over the spine. So less pressure on the neck, less pressure on the spine. Now, because I'm using my core to sit up here, I have less pressure on my low back. And then just for a minute, we want some sort of movement.
Right.
It could be those shoulder rolls. It could be stretching side to side for the side body. I don't know if I get.
Might as well. Yeah.
I know. It's like, yeah, I'm glad you're joining. So it could be that for a minute. It could be just take a little twist. It could be a little twist. I love that you did that.
Yeah.
It could be a nice little twist the other way. It could be walking to the bathroom.
Yeah.
And focusing on your breath as you do so. It could be walking to fill up your water and rolling your shoulders at the same time. But the rule of thumb is for every hour you are seated, you want 1 minute of any kind of movement.
Excellent.
And it's good for, everything, stress management, your heart health, everything, your mental well-being.
Next, the science they say is now sitting is the new smoking.
Yeah.
Just how bad it is to our bodies and just being sedentary. And so just the moving, I was working with someone else and they work with the elderly, and the biggest problem is falls because of lack of balance. And that's just because of being sedentary. You're not working on your core balance and so forth. So moving is very, very important.
Yeah, and I'm like, what you're making me think of is what my vision is, and what I get so excited about is to make it normal to be sitting at your desk, taking breaks every minute, rolling your shoulders or stretching, to make that normal, where it's not like, what are they doing? But like, oh, they're taking really good care of their health.
Right. Changing the dialogue really of what yoga is, perhaps, because I even had that misperception for the longest time. And so so is that kind of one of your goals, is to change that perception of what mindful movement is? Yeah,
I'd really love to make it more normalized, where it's not weird if you're doing some long exhale breaths, if you are doing those side stretches we just did. Everybody around you gets now encouraged and inspired. And better yet, it's teams doing it together, encouraging this movement throughout the day, because quite frankly, it feels, I know, like an oxymoron to pause when you feel overwhelmed. But if you try to work through the overwhelm, like, we're making errors, we're making mistakes, nothing's getting done right. But if we pause to take care of our stress with some movement, with some breath work, with just walking to the bathroom or refilling our water, then we actually buy ourselves time, because we're managing and reducing those signs of stress. And now we can work more clear-minded, more productive, more focused, feeling better. The research is so clear, but there seems like there's this, it's like it's got to make its way to changing behavior. And that's what I'm trying to help with.
Do you have any statistics, whether it's clients you've worked with or just, any studies on the productivity levels or the turnover rate of employees? Are organizations who give people yoga classes, who give people mindful meditation courses, who give people these resources, have they found that the workforce is benefiting from it?
Yeah, hugely. There's some really fantastic studies that show that everything improves. Healthcare costs go down. Absentee days, like how many days people are taking off of work, goes down. Productivity and focus goes up. People self-report they feel better. So that is why companies will do these workplace wellness plans, because the research is there. And that's why they'll invite me in, because
it sounds like a competitive advantage, honestly.
It's a huge competitive advantage.
To do it. We'll cover your, benefits here, benefits there, but it's one thing to cover health benefits. But if you're taking advantage of taking all these sick days, wouldn't you rather give them wellness benefits? It sounds like.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
So there are a lot of companies, obviously all the companies I work with are healthy minded, because they're inviting me in to give health promotion seminars and workshops and trainings and meditations and yoga classes. So those are the ones. And it doesn't matter what size. There's companies that I've worked with where they have offices around the world. And there's companies that I work with that have 8 employees. So it doesn't matter what size somebody is, they can bring some aspect of wellness into their business to truly better the lives of their employees.
And what are those different mediums that you provide? Like for the, 8-person team and that 800-person team, do they have to hire you to be in person? Do they have to make sure they're only available for your online classes? What are the different ways that people can, obtain the knowledge that you have?
Yeah, so there's quite a few ways. What I do most often, which is really cool because, and I'm going to be a little long-winded in this one as well, but before COVID, you'll laugh, I had literally never gone on Zoom or Teams. I mean, we're only
like many people.
Yeah, but not even once.
Okay.
Like not even once. I had never done a business conference call.
Okay.
Not even once.
Wow.
And now I teach 90 to 95% of my classes are taught online. Generally, I'm on the client's Teams platform or Zoom platform. Sometimes a client is using like WebEx or something. So generally, I am teaching virtually and have gotten very good at managing time zones and very good at not saying good morning or good evening or even the day, because sometimes if I'm teaching somebody in Australia, it's a different day. So I mostly teach virtually. Occasionally, like just this past Wednesday, I work with the county. So the Maricopa County was having an in-person day, and I went to present 2 sessions on de-stressing at your desk. So I got to meet folks in person, but normally I teach them online. So that was fun. So that's generally, to answer your question, I'm teaching virtually, but what I'm doing with you right now, like you're helping me create all these amazing videos because I have a wellness club. It's a virtual platform where people can come and on demand de-stress at their desk to get my brief 5-minute breathwork classes or 15-minute chair yoga classes or 30-minute wellness workshops. So all these platforms, and most of it is online, which humors me because I never did that 5 years ago. So.
Well, that's adaptability. It's important.
It sure is.
So you're saying anyone then can go online to get access to these classes? Because they've been some really great, easy to follow, tips on what you could do at your desk. And it's amazing. Like literally any person, doesn't matter what industry you're in, can benefit from it. So where would people go to access that or be able to purchase that?
Yeah. So they would just go to my website, which is breathandwork.com. And there's a link there that says Wellness Club. And there's a few different options. There's a per employee option.
Okay.
That's just $9 a month. And it allows each employee to have their own email and login. So on demand from their own, I have an app now that's a Breathe and Work app. So
it's awesome.
Yeah, I know. I'm so excited about that. So they can get that right from their phone and do their de-stressing at their desk from their phone, of course, on their computer. But then also for human resource leaders, management, they can purchase an option that also invites me in virtually and live to give these same wellness presentations or de-stress at your desk classes live.
Okay.
Or one of my clients actually purchased them and they play them. So they purchase it recorded, but then they get together as a group and they all watch it together.
And they can pause, do the activities together. That's nice.
So that's a really cool way to do it as well, where they can do it when they want without scheduling me, but then they all come together. Because that's the coolest thing to me is that teams are coming together and they're doing this really collaborative team building work and learning really cool, healthy tips and tricks to manage stress. Like what a cool thing to do as a group.
Yeah. Yeah. Because even discussions on triggers, if you don't really think about things that annoy you and trigger you, Sally and copying, leaving her extra copies there could just be getting to you, but it's allowing you to have that respectful dialogue when you are in these type of positions, I feel. And I think that's really important.
Yes.
It's like one of my favorite books that I recently, I'm going to be real, listened to on Audible because I don't really have time to read.
Yeah. No, you got little ones.
Creativity Inc. from Ed Catmull. They talked about how they had a day where it was notes day, where basically you just took your notes of whatever annoyed you about that department. But they just opened this honest candor to be, to have that dialogue, which is so important that, also Brene Brown says it's kind to be clear. And so just because it may not be nice, it's still respectful to go through that rather than burying it in deep. And so I'm sure these organizations that do these group classes of going through your content, they're able to have some of those, important dialogues that typically are not happening.
Yeah, you're right on. They're having good dialogues, because truly when I feel like I've done my job is when I'm teaching online and I'm able to ask the right questions to get conversations going in the chat. So most of this connection is happening in the chat. And some of the connections have been like pretty deep. People from different departments, different offices that might not have ever talked before are connecting on chat, sharing ideas, asking questions, giving each other answers. One that happened recently, so in October, I did a whole bunch of breast cancer awareness webinars. So breast cancer awareness, it was inform, inspire, and empower. And to see those shares and conversations going on in the chat, people encouraging each other to do self-exams, to talk with their family, to talk with their doctor, like that was everything. Just simply, like, I'm not making my part bigger than it was. I just showed up and everybody took it from there. And seeing that, just really what it was the employer giving their people the space to connect. So to connect in this really positive, uplifting, and helpful way is, to me, just inspiring and motivates me to keep going, to keep doing the hard work of creating these workshops and these presentations and showing up, because when I see this connection, and it's so positive because we're talking about such healthy subjects, like that's it. That's everything. Those connections. Yeah.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
It's lovely. So I shared, one of my favorite books. What's one of your favorite tales? Whether it's a book or maybe a movie, what's one of your favorite tales that for either being inspired or just enjoyment?
I flip between reading like really kind of saucy fiction books. Like the last one I had was 9 Perfect Strangers, which you can watch now, I've learned, on Hulu. And then I'll read, I'm thinking Radical Acceptance, or I'm reading a book. I also always have like 4 books going. Carolyn Mace is my favorite author. She writes a lot about the energy of the anatomy. I have to admit, there's always like 4 or 5 books on my nightstand. And I'm trying to think of my very, very favorite one. Honestly, the one that's popping into my mind that you can tell I've read it through multiple times and I reference is Women Who Run with the Wolves. Is an excellent book that just speaks to the deepest parts of us, and really, I'm going back to connection. Like, you just feel so connected when you read these stories. The author just shares so many different, I'm trying to think of the right word, like myths. Yeah, so that book is incredible. Highly recommend it. Women Who Run with the Wolves. And then going back to the fiction book, I picked it up the other day and I was like, oh, I read this a long time ago after I got into 2 chapters. So I decided to watch it on Hulu since I've already read the book. And I love it because it's all about people going through their own healing journeys, because we all have trauma. Here they're highlighting people that have trauma from living life. And once again, I feel like this might be the theme. People are starting in this series to share their traumas, and there's connection, there's vulnerability, there's depth, there's meaning. I love that. I love that about the human element, when people are willing to just go deep and share and be real, because there's just a lot of meaning there. So when I can see that happening in offices, because the employer created the space for that to happen by simply maybe having a wellness workshop, but allowing people to chat and connect, like that's, again, that deep connection is what we're all wanting.
Yeah, it's so amazing. I wish I could remember the podcast I was listening to, but it just reminds me of this one gentleman speaking that, we feel that we are, thinking beings that feel, but in actuality, we're feeling beings. that think.
I love that. Yeah.
And we need to lean into that our biology, and really from the thousands of years of conditioning, we feel more things. We feel danger. And so then we do things naturally to defend ourselves from danger. We feel safe. And so you do certain things. We're not thinking or safe. You feel safe.
You feel. Yeah.
That's very interesting.
The last time I was with you, the one I recorded the other day was emotional fitness. Yeah. And that's a big deal for me because, sharing a little bit of my history, my father was like, no, emotions are scary. They're bad, to the point, like, if we shared emotions, that was wrong, that we could get in trouble for that. And I specifically remember when I was a teenager, being out to lunch with my dad. Our thing together was we would try all different tiny little restaurants.
That's fun.
Yeah, it was really fun. It's one of my favorite memories of him. And we're trying, a restaurant together, and that was like the main way we bonded, which was great. But then there was a couple next to us who was talking about their feelings. Yeah. And my dad started to make fun of them, enough so that they could hear, because he was so uncomfortable with somebody talking about their feelings that his defense mechanism was to make fun of it, to the whole car ride home, just say, who would ever talk about their feelings? What a dumb thing. What a waste of time. Oh my gosh, such like bad people. Yeah. And so I spent, you want to please your parents. So I spent a lot of time then through the rest of my teenage years and in 20s covering up that I ever had any feelings, because, I thought it was wrong and I thought it was bad, until I started on this journey of mindfulness and yoga and meditation, and going in deeper with books like Women Who Run with the Wolves, to really uncover, like, wait a second, I have feelings too. And it was a journey for me to uncover, well, what is that feeling? What am I feeling? And just like you said, you sparked this when you said safe. This feeling feels very unsafe, but am I still willing to feel it? And now I'm all about acknowledging, accepting, talking with the feelings. And circling back, I now do a corporate workshop called Emotional Fitness, and it's probably my all-time favorite. But to be in a place now where, in a corporate setting, they would bring me in to talk about emotions, I think is huge, because I shared that story of my dad because it's not unique.
No, it's like times have changed.
Times have changed. Like
sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can never hurt me. Like, I grew up with that motto.
Exactly. Like, it wasn't a weird thing of when I was growing up, we didn't talk about emotions. We weren't taught to. That wasn't normalized. It just wasn't. It was more about survival. And then from there, it was more about the brain and achieving. And it can still be about those things as well, but bringing in the feeling, emotional element is amazing. And we're never too old to learn something. So somebody could be 80 years old and for the first time learning how to feel their feelings. And that's so cool. Right. And again, having the corporate space where these employers are allowing that learning to be had benefits each individual, and then it benefits the teams and the organizations as a whole when we can take more ownership of our feelings. So yeah, it's really cool stuff that I'm doing and I'm seeing out there that people are opening up to.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you are one to want to write a book in the future, but if you were to write a book, whether it's about your life or things that you want to leave to the world, what would be the title of that tale and why?
That's a great question, Taylor. You have good questions. I'm going to think on that for a moment and take a sip of tea.
Yes. Some turmeric tea.
I know, it's so good. Thank you.
Rajaparna House. So.
Yes. So it's a little bit off subject, but it's popping in my mind. I would say, I think I started this journey 1.5 years ago, where I did a journey of solo dating. And
so it's solo dating.
I've been
with my husband for many long times. I don't even know what dating is anymore.
Let me describe that. So I got divorced a year ago. I got divorced 10 years ago.
I was really just a year ago?
10 years ago. And, I have I could fill a book with my wild and often very fun dating stories from the past decade.
Okay, so perhaps another episode.
Yeah, that's another episode. A lot of repeat relationships. But it was a good year and a half ago. I was looking at some of my dating patterns. I was like, I don't want to be this person anymore. I do not want to keep attracting in this dysfunction. And what part am I playing in that to being this other dysfunctional part? So I made a very conscious choice to completely stop dating. And I liked dating. It was fun. So that was a very conscious choice to not date. And for a good long while, it wasn't quite a year, and to only date myself, to take myself on solo dates.
Yes.
Because although I spent a lot of time by myself doing walks in the morning and shopping and meditating and my home yoga practice, I wasn't ever taking myself out places. Like, honestly, it terrified me to go eat by myself. And I documented my little solo dating journey that was probably a good year on Instagram as a way to make myself accountable that I was going to do this thing. And my first solo date was at the Botanical Gardens. And looking back, it's humorous now, but I remember being so afraid to go into these gardens on my own because I was a serial dater. I was always either dating or in a relationship or bringing a friend with me or a kid with me. I always had people around. So my first solo date was our beautiful Botanical Gardens in Arizona. And I felt like I was wearing a sign the whole time that said, I'm by myself. Nobody wants to be with me. It was like the most awkward experience, but I did it.
Yeah.
And I kept going. And the more and more I went on these solo dates, I went to a comedy show by myself. I went to the movies by myself. I went out to eat quite a few times. I took walks around the park. Like, I planned these dates for myself. I committed to them. I got to know myself better. I eventually did a whole weekend in California. So like a series of dates.
Wow.
Then it became something that I looked forward to, and I no longer felt awkward. I was really enjoying my own company, like big time.
Yeah.
And it became fun. So it went from feeling like incredibly awkward and like I had this, huge sign on my head that said, I'm a loner, basically, is what's coming to me. I'm a loser. Like, that's how I felt. To being like, when can we go out by ourselves again? Like, that was the biggest transformation that I've ever had. And that was only like a year and a half ago. So because I documented all of these dates that I did on Instagram, it's like I already have all of this data that I could pull together to put into a book, because the summary of it was I greatly deepened the relationship with myself. And the coolest part that I'll share, and I know we're so off subject, but I feel like sharing this, is once I felt it was time to start dating again, because I wanted to, I could so easily go, nope, not for me. Nope, not for me. Rather go out by myself. Nothing was wrong with these guys, but I could see things that, were red flags for me that weren't going to fit with what I wanted. And I was able to say, nope, 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 so easily. And truly my comparison was, I rather go out to eat by myself. I rather go to the movies by myself. And then it was last May, I met the most amazing man who is just, and again, it wasn't the goal.
Right.
Just the most kindest, thoughtful, safe, handsome, like everything I never knew that I wanted. And it happened because I was willing to rather be by myself than get into something just to be paired up. So it led me, the relationship I'm in now is just the safest, most supportive, most uplifting and loving relationship I have ever had.
I'm so happy to
and
hear that.
There's no dysfunction. Thank you.
That's
so
excellent.
I think that's the book I would write, my solo dating journey.
I love that so much, because I can definitely resonate with that. I was literally having a conversation with Eric, I want to say yesterday, about this, that days that if he's out with the kids and I'm at the house by myself, I'll turn on the TV just to feel like someone's there.
Yeah.
Like I have to have cats. I have to have beings because I just feel like, something about being alone is just, I don't know why is it so terrifying. I don't know why.
I get that because that's exactly where I was, where I was like, wow, I thought I could be alone because of all the solo things I did.
Right.
But something about taking myself to the movies or to a restaurant where I was like, oh, I'm by myself on this outing.
Yeah.
It really was. It started off terrifying because I was like, oh, I thought because I was meditating in silence, I was fine being by myself, but going out was just another level. It was fascinating, but I resonate with what you're saying because that's what I was doing.
Yeah, it's interesting. It almost feels like that's like a good exercise for almost everyone to do, even if you're in a relationship, to just get that much more, I don't know, in love with yourself, because if you can't love yourself, you can't love others, and you need to be able to be comfortable, with yourself. So that's very interesting.
I love what you just said too, because that's my other commitment I'm making to myself. If even though I'm in this amazing relationship, I need to keep my solo dating going because our first relationship with ourselves is the most important, and there's no end to the depths I can go within. So you're re-energizing because, when you're in a new relationship, it's
so exciting.
Yeah, it's so exciting. But I'm like, no, I need to commit to also continuing my solo dating journey because it's special and it's sacred.
Yeah, definitely. And it's continuing to grow yourself because even, relationships can get stale. And if, and I think just like a skill yourself, you can always grow and you can always just get that little bit better as long as you're practicing it, as long as you're exercising it, so it's exercising, emotional intelligence. It's exercising, being mindful, truly mindful. Like, I feel like I only really understood what the word mindful meant within the last couple of years. Yeah. I thought it just meant, meditation. It's like, oh wait, no, literally being in the moment. Even if I'm washing dishes, I am focusing on how much soap is there, how many bubbles do I see, how does the water feel. It's truly being mindful of even washing dishes.
You're totally, it's something we can do all day, and it's something we can do, like you said, in the car, at work, at home. And to me, I kept it separate for so long. When I first started meditating,
I think also we were told to keep separate lives. I think there was a big education of I think it just in our general generations, it's changing. But there used to be you have your work life and you have your home life.
Yes.
And now I think there's more education and support around well, no, you are a single being that is living, that it has one life.
Yeah.
That has to work and who has to go home.
Yeah. I like that we're focusing on balancing it better, but also focused on these things we might only do after work. Or before work, like I was doing meditating. Then I was like, well, this is great, but how's it going to help me for the rest of my day? So that's the point. Let's weave it in throughout the day. Let's weave these things that make us feel good in throughout the day. So work can be even better. We can be even more creative at work, even more connected at work.
Definitely.
Yeah.
What would be the tale that you wish you would have told yourself in the beginning of your business? Because you've now been in business for quite some time and successful in business. What do you think is one thing you wish you would have told yourself earlier on?
That's a good question. I think I'm going to tell myself something right now that I would also tell myself when I started. And it's a little cliche to enjoy the journey, but I think we always want to get to a certain point because I will admit I'm very impatient. I want the growth to happen like this, and I can get hard on myself when it's not happening like this. So two things, and I need to commit to doing these. One, just truly enjoy the process of building something, because I do enjoy building and creating. It's really fun. So just truly to enjoy that. But what I'm really guilty at, even though I'm constantly telling other people to do this, is celebrating the progress. I'm always telling other people, are you celebrating the progress? I have a few people that I coach as they grow their businesses, and I'm always telling them, you need to celebrate that. Let's take a moment to celebrate it. So that's what I would tell myself now, and myself when I started is let's take these pauses to reflect on how far I've come, but also just to celebrate the milestones, even at the end of each day. Whether it was, good job. You took it a little easy today because you needed to. Nice job. Or another day, good job. You had a lot happening and you made it through. Or the next day, you know what? You took some breath breaks, just like you're telling other people to do. Good job taking care of yourself. Like turning that lens back. Because I think so many of us, I know you're one too, we're always telling other people they're doing so good. And we need to turn it into ourselves.
Why are we so mean to ourselves? We're so hard on ourselves. I don't understand.
I know.
You know?
It's like,
my hair could look messy. Someone else's hair could look the same. I say, yeah, your hair looks great. It's just, I don't know why. We're always so hard on ourselves and want to be kind to others, but never kind to ourselves, which we got to remember though, got to fill up our own cups. Even if it is ourselves filling up our cups, there's nothing wrong with that.
Oh, there's everything right with it. But I think that's where programmed to just give. So it's giving to ourselves too. Like, you're doing great, Taylor. You're doing great, Shawn. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, you are doing great.
Thank you.
You are doing awesome. To close us out, would you mind maybe giving us like what would be a simple breath work that you think would be a good middle of the day, re-energize ourselves kind of breath work to do to get ourselves refocused?
The one that I love is the long exhale breath because it both energizes and calms. Basically, I feel like it'll give you whatever you need. So what's going to happen, and this is always my go-to with new folks because it feels good, and there's two things happening. Because you're taking deeper inhales and longer exhales, you are physically calming your body down. You're inviting your relaxation response to the table. And I'm going to ask you in your mind to count with me. Right now, it's kind of like, why am I counting? But that becomes a top-notch strategy if your mind is like, oh my gosh, how am I going to get this done? And I can't believe they said that. If you are looping in that, like, we don't want to be there. So if we can tell the mind, like, let's just count this breath, it's able to kind of get it out of that jail of those like stressful, crushing thoughts. Okay, so here's what we're going to do.
Okay, everyone get ready.
All right, you're going to count to 3, and that's going to be your inhale through the nose. Okay. And then there's going to be this natural pause as I say, purse your lips like you're blowing out a candle. Do it with me. Good. And then I'm going to count to 5. So your job is to count with me in your mind. Let's just take 3 rounds and you guys can take a couple of rounds too. All right?
All right, let's do it.
You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. So here we go. Inhale for 3, 2, 1. Now here's your pause. Purse your lips. Long exhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale. 3, 2, 1. Pause as you purse your lips. You're doing real good. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Last one. Inhale through your nose. 3, 2, 1. Purse your lips. Long exhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Return to normal breathing.
I felt compelled to close my eyes on that last one and really feel it.
I was watching you, and that was really cool. I hope everyone saw that because I was able to watch, and I love this. It's like you were doing it and then you felt it.
Yeah.
You closed your eyes, you felt it, your face got even more relaxed, and that was just 3 rounds of breath.
That's so fast.
And it's so empowering because you can do that anytime you want. You don't need me for that. You don't need an app for that. You can just do that on your own whenever you want to take back control of how you're feeling.
It's as simple as that, and your breath's always with you, which I love. So please remind us, how can we always know all the amazing things you're doing, and how can we get more connected with your amazing courses and education you have?
Thank you, Taylor. So you can find me, my website's the best place. It's Breathe. So it's BREATHE and work.com. You spell out the and. You'll see everything there. If you want to find me on social, I go by the handle Miss Shawn Bradford, but just MS and then spelling out my name. But the website would be the best place to go to.
All right, breathe and work. Everyone make sure you do it in that order. Breathe and then do the work.
Yes.
Thank you so very much again for being on here today.
No, it's my pleasure. Thank you for having me. You're excellent.
Oh, thank you. Bye for now.
Thank you for watching Tales with Taylor. Please make sure you like and subscribe to the Financial Potion YouTube channel to never miss an episode.